melody of a traditional Maori song welcomes competitors to the start of the 1985 International Rally of New Zealand. Auckland, capital of the North Island, basks in warm winter sunshine as the crowds enjoy the almost carnival atmosphere as a parachute display team and a local jazz band add to the pre-event entertainment. The leading contenders are in Auckland for the 7th round of the World Championship Series, sponsored by Our Computers and Clarion. Peugeot and Audi are the major protagonists, locked in battle once more for the honour of top four-wheel drive team. Peugeot have Ari Vatanen and Timo Salonen in their 205 turbos, the team currently riding on the crest of a wave. We asked Ari how he's looking forward to the rally.
I suppose I'm quite anxious to just get it started. I mean, having been here for 2 weeks and having not finished the rally for last previous occasions, I'm looking forward to this rally. I mean, it has got to change this time.
It's a few years since you've competed in New Zealand. How much have things changed in that time?
Well, 79 it was still a blind rally on that particular occasion, and of course in that time it was my honeymoon as well, and this time I haven't got a wife with me, so a little bit things are not just as well, but I mean otherwise they are very well.
Okay, Ari, all the very best. Thank you.
Stig Blomqvist, off at number 1 after his victory on last year's rally, looks in a happy, relaxed frame of mind. Catching Stig smiling is something of an achievement, but of course he's still as reserved as ever when it comes to interviews. The two leading contenders entered in conventional cars are Nissan and Toyota. Leading the Nissan challenge, local driver Reg Cook and safari veteran Shekhar Mehta.
I think the Toyota will go quite well. I mean, Bjorn and Juha go particularly well here. It seems to be the sort of rally where the Scandinavians enjoy it, and they seem always to go very well. But if you're talking about the rest of us, I think, we'll be a long way back. But there should be quite a battle for the tourist class trophy.
That's how you see it, is it?
Yes.
The Toyota camp have 2 Celica turbos entered for Bjorn Voldegaard and Juha Kankinen. Unfortunately, their problems begin even before the start.
Bjorn's got a change of co-drive we noticed this morning. What's the problem?
Hasse has been ill. He was ill yesterday, and the doctor had a look at him this morning and decided that he shouldn't really take part in the rally. And we've got Michel Lezan now, who's stepped in at the last moment. He just announced to Bjorn in the car on the way up. He's never actually done a rally as a co-driver before, so
it should be exciting then.
Should be fairly exciting. The Swedish isn't exactly up to scratch either.
As the minutes tick away to the 10 o'clock start, Stig Blomqvist eases his Audi Quattro onto the ramp for the first loop of 11 stages that were to take place north of Auckland during the first day. Following him, Ari Vatanen and Terry Harriman, who haven't finished a World Championship rally since the Swedish back in February. The second Works Quattro is off at number 3 in the hands of Walter Roll and Christian Geisdorfer. Walter loves this event and went extremely well over the early stages last year, and it remains to be seen if they can repeat the performance this year. Bjorn Voldegaard, complete with new co-driver Belgian journalist Michael Lisa, were next over the ramp in their Toyota Celica Turbo. Whilst a past winner of the event, Voldegaard knows that a win is only on the cards if the four-wheel drive brigade strike trouble. Timo Salonen with regular partner Seppo Harane are at 5. They're considered to be pre-event favourites and are currently on form with a win on the previous World Championship round, the Acropolis Rally. Making him the meat in a Toyota sandwich was Juha Kankinen and Fred Gallagher in the second of the Celica Turbos. Last year, their rally ended upside down in a ravine, so they were obviously hoping for better luck this year. Off at number 7 are Shekhar and Yvonne Mehta in the first of the Works Nissan 240 RSs. Behind them, fellow Kenyans Mike Kirkland and Mike Doughty in the first of a horde of Group A Subarus who are chasing a hat-trick of Group A wins of this rally. All the way from Russia, the experienced Statsis Bunza and Sergei Dadvani in their Works Lada. As the first few stages were tackled in the Helensville region, a pattern began to emerge. Walter Röhrl, like last year, moved into the lead with a string of fastest times. Chasing them hard, and only seconds in arrears, the two Peugeots of Salonen and Vatanen, with the latter just having the early edge. Quattro popping and banging at an alarming rate, giving the assembled spectators concern that one of their favourites would fail to last the pace, Stig Blomqvist in second position. Shekhar Mehta was holding a position just inside the top 10, but with a wealth of experience behind him, was in no hurry to overtax himself or the car at this stage. But what of Toyota? Kankkunen was best of the conventional cars and he lay in fifth position. For teammate Voldegaard, things had gone from bad to worse. First of all, his regular co-driver had fallen ill just before the start. Then on stage 2, his gearbox gave up. At the Toyota service point, while the service crew worked on Kankkunen's car, a chase car collects a spare gearbox to make its way into the stage to effect repairs.
Just keep coming towards us, and I will go and explore something. Okay.
Special stage 5, 25 kilometers of fast gravel, and Röhrl was again fastest despite clipping a bank. Timo Salonen was over 20 seconds slower on the stage, but had now overtaken Blomqvist to hold second place overall. Blomqvist, who shows total aggression as he flings the Quattro through the bends, still sounds as if he'll be lucky to last the distance. Malcolm Stewart gets to grips with his new Quattro to record a good time that moves him into the top 10. Neil Allport, who seems to be one of the crowd's real favourites, is also on course for a good stage time, but is nevertheless still being headed by Reg Cook, the top Kiwi crew. Despite the counter-attraction of an international rugby match in Auckland between the All Blacks and the Australians, thousands of spectators have taken the opportunity to venture into the countryside to watch the principal motorsport event. Röhrl continues to lead. Salonen still holds second position, but now it's teammate Vatanen who has squeezed past the Quattro of Blomqvist to demote him to fourth position. Kankkunen has dropped 7 minutes on the leader, but still leads the conventional cars. A tremendous tussle is going on behind between Cook and Mehta, with Cook just leading despite spinning on the second stage into a crowd of spectators. Fortunately, injuries were confined to bruises. As the light begins to fade, there are only 3 more stages before an overnight halt back in Auckland. Röhrl has no problems. Salonen has narrowed the gap now to only 16 seconds behind his rival. Vatanen managed a consistent run to finish the day in third place after a drama-free run. Blomqvist still held fourth place. Kankkunen was in fifth. Again, no problems had affected his day, unlike teammate Voldegaard, who managed the gearbox change in stage 2 and continued almost an hour behind everyone else. 6th, 7th and 8th places were held by Cook, Mehta and Stewart, respectively. Completing the top 10 at the end of day 1, the 2 Mazda RX-7s of Neil Allport and Stuart Eyre. Paul Adams was holding on to his Group A lead, but Possum Vaughan had dropped back after incurring a minute penalty for jump-starting stage 5. The second leg will take the rally south and east to finish in the hot springs resort of Rotorua. The sunshine of the first day was replaced by dark clouds and the threat of rain as Salonen came into service before the opening stage. A 3-kilometre all-tarmac blast around the industrial estate at Manukau City.
Only 16 seconds behind Walter. What are the plans today?
I do my best. I try very hard to catch him, but it's not difficult, not very easy.
Now, what are the stages like today compared with yesterday's?
Few short Mickey Mouse stages, but then normal, they are good, very good.
Do you think they will suit the Peugeot better than the Audi?
I don't think so, because they are about same like yesterday, and Audi was also very fast.
Vatanen comes in right behind him, and whilst he wanders off to chat with an expatriate Finnish spectator, co-driver Terry Harriman proves that despite the early hour, he's wide awake. The mechanic was unaware he was about to send the Peugeot out with 3 slick tyres and 1 forest tyre. In the Audi camp across the road, anxious eyes were cast skyward. Tyre choice could be critical, certainly if it rained after pure slicks were fitted. They compromised with an intermediate pattern. Whilst nothing was expected to be proved over 3 kilometres of tarmac stage, Salonen had the psychological advantage of beating Ruhl by 1 second and proving he meant business. No one was taking chances, however, as over-exuberance could result in banging the ever-present curbs and wrecking an axle. The real meat of the rally got underway a short while later in the Maramau forest complex north of Huntly. Ruhl still held first position, although once again Salonen beat him by a scant second to nip away at his lead. Despite a puncture on the previous forest stage, Ari too was extending the gap between himself and Blomqvist, and with Malcolm Stewart getting more and more in tune with his Quattro, it looked as if the 4-wheel drive cars would race off into the distance. Certainly the rain that had threatened was about to fall in earnest and further increase their advantage. As expected, Juha Kankanen's Celica was the closest challenge, but the gap between him and the leader was now 10 minutes. Allport had the pleasure of beating Cook on this stage to narrow the gap to 1.5 minutes. With the rain falling heavily, the smooth gravel stages, not unlike those found on Finland's Thousand Lakes rally, became increasingly slippy. The later runners battled on, concerned only with their own personal problems. In the most appalling conditions, the Peugeots used the superior handling to the full to knowingly beat the Quattros. Ruhl had overshot a corner on the earlier Mystery Creek stage and stalled. The delay, plus a string of fastest times from Salonen, dropped Ruhl to second place. Allport surprised many with a 6th fastest time on this stage, and proving that a lot of the spectators were only waiting for him. Once he was through, they dutifully marched off the stage. 51 crews survived this second leg, but not Shaka and Yvonne Mater, who lost so much time with engine problems on stage 20, they decided to retire rather than carry on at the back of the field. For Toyota, the rally was turning into a disaster, with first Voldegaard retiring on day 1, then on the Mystery Creek stage, Kankanen broke the differential and dropped 42 minutes, effectively putting him out of the running. The third day of the New Zealand rally dawned bright and sunny as crews tackled a further 12 stages, totalling just over 250 kilometres in the huge forest complexes around the spa town, famous for its hot springs and mud pools. It was this section on last year's event that effectively decided the result, the Bay of Plenty stages proving too much for some crews. It remained to be seen if the same would happen this year. Kankinen is still soldiering on, making up ground from the previous night. No chance of catching the leaders, of course, but an opportunity to undertake valuable testing before their next World Championship event in Finland.
So how many cars have you passed this morning, Fred?
No. Just three. The other one. 3 stages, 3 cars.
So what's the object of the exercise today?
To pass as many cars as possible, because we've got a bet going with Paul Adams that we can pass more than he can. He's even further back.
Toyota are having their own little rally at the back of the field with the clubmen. The leading crews are still locked in battle. The Audis are still not making any impression on the leading Peugeot, with Vatanen closing the gap to Ruhl. Neil Allport continues to keep his many fans happy and lies in 5th place and first New Zealander, with Malcolm Stewart and Inky Tulloch right behind. The New Zealand rally is a very civilised affair, and after a brief halt back in Rotorua, crews set out for a further 5 stages south of the town, the first being a 30-kilometre all-tarmac stage. With the pale winter sun dropping in the sky, Walter Ruhl rockets past to take fastest time. Making it an Audi 1-2 is Stig Blomqvist, although he does have to share the honour with Salonen. Predictably, Ari Vatanen takes 4th. Neil Allport is really in the groove on this one, fairly blasting through to record 5th fastest. There was almost 100 kilometres of tarmac on this year's event, enjoyed by both crews and public alike. The opportunity of seeing world-class drivers competing on tarmac stages, an opportunity not to be missed. As the last rays of light filter through the clouds, Juha Kankinen roars through lights ablaze, his personal challenge to catch and pass as many of those in front as he possibly can. As crews complete the last stage before an overnight halt in Rotorua, Ruhl still chases leader Salonen. Only 29 seconds behind him after some superb driving over the last group of stages, Ari Vatanen, who has naturally extended the gap to almost 4 minutes from Blomqvist. Main drama, however, was reserved for Neil Allport, who rolled into retirement on the previous stage. This elevated Stewart to 5th position, followed by Inky Tulloch. The top 10 at the end of the 3rd leg was completed by Teasdale and Kirkland in the Subaru. Seven o'clock on a sharp morning as Timo Salonen prepares to set off on the final leg of 13 stages back to Auckland. His lead is 1 minute 43 seconds. His car had been running perfectly, and he is full of confidence as he eases the Peugeot off the ramp and through the dark Rotorua streets en route to the first of the day's stages. Walter Ruhl, who has driven his heart out, knows only a maximum effort again will keep his hopes alive. Spirits in the Peugeot camp are high, and why not? Vatanen has moved inexorably closer to Ruhl and has that look in his eye that could spell trouble for the Audi. Blomqvist, by his standards, is not driving well and admits he has no chance of catching Ari. The gap to Stewart behind him, 43 minutes. Leg 4 takes the drivers north again through 13 stages and back to Auckland. On the first of the 13 stages, Vatanen beats Ruhl by 29 seconds and holds joint second with him. On the next, another 7 seconds gained moves him into a clear second, just under 2 minutes down on teammate Salonen. By this, the 38th stage, he's nearly half a minute clear of Ruhl. Poor Walter has to drive the stage with a wasp in the cab. Malcolm Stewart, after 3 consecutive years finishing as second resident Kiwi, looks like achieving his one ambition, to be first local home. And now he has 4-wheel drive at his disposal, his dream is turning into reality. Inky Tulloch's been dreaming too. The thought of finishing in Auckland has upset his equilibrium. But it's his pride which is more dented than his car. Despite a loss of some 3 minutes, the mayor of Mataura holds on to his 5th place and leading rear-wheel drive car. Possum Bourne squeezes past the temporarily stranded car, but Inky is soon away again, and by the next stage is going as fast as ever. Reg Cook was 6th overall last year and must improve by 2 places to better this. A hopeless task with 60 minutes road penalties against his name. Tony Teasdale, the current New Zealand rally champion, has 10 minutes to make up to beat Bourne for Group A honours. On to stage 39, a 36-kilometre loop around the Mairoa Road. Salonen takes his first fastest time of the day. He's got no intention of letting Vatanen creep too far into that 2-minute buffer. Whirl is now almost a minute behind the flying Vatanen. Stig hits a bank further down the stage and damages a track control arm, but only 45 seconds are lost and there's no change in the order. Mazda honours are now upheld by 10th place Mike Montgomery. 3 places behind him comes Stuart Ayres' similar car. Meanwhile, the Peugeot boys snatch a quick service before the final batch of stages. We asked Vatanen whether he was under instruction to hold station.
No really team orders, but you know, common sense says that now we will hang on to the positions we have got.
So it's not Finn against Finn for the last few stages then?
No, because that would be very, very foolish. I'm nearly 2 minutes behind Timo, so if in 3 days, if I haven't managed to catch him, I can't catch him over a few stages.
So have you enjoyed the rally?
Yeah, generally speaking, and it's getting better towards the end.
No problems with your car?
No, not at all. I hope it has a happy end.
Kankkunen finally drops out on stage 39. Having climbed up from last to 17th, Juha's Toyota failed to restart its engine after service and time ran out. Reg Cook manages to overhaul Inky Tulloch and takes 6th place in the dying moments of the event. Tulloch suffering from a lack of power in the escort. A fine drive by Jim Donald in the ex-Salonen 240 RS. He has been going quicker and quicker, consistently posting times just slower than Reg Cook and hauling himself up to 9th place at the end. Possum Bourne takes the Group A prize and 8th overall in the Subaru. 5th overall and first New Zealand driver home, Malcolm Stewart in his privately run Audi Quattro. The rally had certainly been a tough way to learn how to get to grips with the power and traction of four-wheel drive, but he'd been equal to the task, and 5th place was a fine reward. 4th, last year's winner, Stig Blomqvist. Despite some aggressive driving, he hadn't been able to match the pace of the Peugeots, nor indeed of his teammate Walter Röhrl, who finished 3rd.
Now we test high quality.
Oh! No!
It's no quality at all.
Walter rates the New Zealand rally as one of his favourites, and he'd driven his heart out.
Number 1 medal with the light.
A brilliant drive by Ari Vatanen and Terry Harriman netted them 2nd place. Their times on the last day when they overhauled Röhrl were quite outstanding, and they have broken the string of recent non-finishes. But far and away, the drive of the rally was from Timo Salonen, who has proved his ability with some fine results of late. Now he has mastered the Peugeot 205. For years, he has struggled with the Nissan 240 RS, and it's perhaps rewarding that he should win in New Zealand on a rally that he last won 5 years ago behind the wheel of a Nissan. The rally had proved a huge success. Enthusiastic sponsors, superb stages, and a high standard of organisation all combined to produce one of the most popular events in the World Championship Series.